The late afternoon sun hung low over the rural highway, casting long shadows across the empty road. Emma Winters sat in her disabled luxury sedan, frustration mounting as steam poured from under the hood. Her phone showed no signal. Of course, it didn't. Not out here in the middle of nowhere, between the city and the small county courthouse where she was scheduled to preside tomorrow. She was a family court judge, known for being fair but firm, analytical but not cold. At 34, she had worked hard to earn her position, and she took it seriously. But right now, none of that mattered. She was stranded on a back road with a broken-down car and no way to call for help. A beat-up red pickup truck approached from the opposite direction, slowed, and pulled over onto the shoulder. Emma felt a flutter of nervousness accepting help from strangers. On deserted roads wasn't exactly smart, but she also didn't have many options. A man got out of the truck, followed by a little girl who looked about 4 years old. The man was in his early 30s, wearing work jeans and a gray t-shirt with the kind of build that suggested manual labor. The girl had blonde pigtails and clutched a small stuffed bear. "Looks like you've got some trouble," the man called out as he approached. "I'm Ryan. That's my daughter, Maisie. We live just a few miles up the road. Can I take a look?" Emma assessed the situation quickly. The man seemed genuine. His daughter's presence was reassuring, and she truly had no other options. "I'm Emma." The engine started smoking, and then just died. "I don't know anything about cars. Mind if I take a look?" "Please." Ryan opened the hood and peered inside while Maisie wandered over to Emma, looking up at her with curious eyes. "You're pretty," Maisie announced, "like a princess. But you look sad. Are you sad?" Emma couldn't help but smile. "I'm not sad, just worried about my car. Daddy can fix anything. He fixed my bike and my dollhouse and the sink that was leaking. He's the best fixer. Sounds like I'm in good hands then." Ryan worked quietly for several minutes, occasionally muttering to himself. Finally, he straightened up, wiping his hands on a rag from his truck. "Your radiator hose burst. That's what caused the overheating and the smoke. I have a spare hose in my truck. I keep basic parts on hand because my truck's not much more reliable than your car appears to be right now. Okay?" He smiled slightly. "I can replace it for you. Take maybe 20 minutes. "Really? You do that?" "I can pay you, of course. No need. I'm happy to help. Besides, Maisie would never let me leave someone stranded. She has very strong opinions about helping people." "I do," Maisie confirmed seriously. "Daddy says we help people because that's what good people do." While Ryan worked on the car, Emma found herself talking with Maisie, who was remarkably chatty for a 4-year-old. She learned that Maisie loved unicorns. Her favorite color was purple. She was going to start kindergarten soon, and her mommy lived far away. "Do you see your mommy often?" Emma asked carefully, her judge instincts recognizing potential family complexity. "No. Mommy lives with her new family. Daddy says she loves me, but she's just not good at being a mommy. But that's okay, because Daddy is good at being a daddy." Emma glanced at Ryan, who was focused intently on the engine, his jaw tight. She recognized pain when she saw it. 20 minutes later, as promised, Ryan closed the hood. "That should get you where you're going. The repair will hold, but you should get it checked by a mechanic soon. How much do I owe you?" "For the part and your time?" "Nothing. The hose cost me maybe $5, and I'd rather help someone out than watch them sit here until dark." "I can't let you do that for free. At least let me pay you for your time, ma'am. If I took money for this, it wouldn't be helping. It would be a transaction. I helped because you needed it, and I could. That's all." Emma was taken aback. In her world of law and contracts and compensated services, genuine altruism was rare. "Thank you. Really, I don't know what I would have done." "You'd have figured something out. People usually do." Ryan lifted Maisie into his truck. "Drive safe." As they drove away, Emma stood by her car, feeling oddly moved by the encounter. Then she noticed a manila folder on her passenger seat, her case files for tomorrow's proceedings. She opened it to review the schedule. Her blood ran cold. Tomorrow's morning's first case, Carter v. Carter, custody hearing. Ryan Carter seeking primary custody of his daughter Maisie from her mother, Jennifer Carter. The man who had just fixed her car for free was the defendant in her courtroom tomorrow. Emma sat in her car for a long moment, processing the implications. She needed to recuse herself. This was a clear conflict of interest. She couldn't be impartial now. She had met the defendant, had formed an opinion about his character, had interacted with the child in question. She drove to her hotel, her mind racing through scenarios and professional obligations. She called the chief judge to explain the situation, recommending another judge be assigned to the case. If we reassign cases every time a judge had a minor interaction with a party, we'd never get through the docket. You helped him with directions once. That's not grounds for recusal. He didn't help me with directions. He fixed my car. We had a conversation. I met his daughter. Did he know you were a judge? No. I was just a woman with a broken down car. And did he try to influence you regarding his case? No. He didn't even mention it. I don't think he knew who I was. Then you have no conflict. You can be impartial. You've presided over cases involving people you've encountered before. This is no different. But it felt different to Emma. She had seen Ryan's character in action, had witnessed his kindness and his daughter's clear adoration of him. How could she not let that influence her judgment? That night, she barely slept, wrestling with her professional ethics and her conscience. The next morning, she sat in her chambers, reviewing the case file more carefully. Jennifer Carter had left Ryan and Maisie 2 years ago, moving across the country to start a new life with a new partner. She had minimal contact with Maisie, since then occasional video calls, no in-person visits. Now she was seeking primary custody, claiming Ryan was an unfit parent due to financial instability. The allegations were serious. That Ryan's work as a handyman was inconsistent. That he sometimes couldn't pay bills on time. That Maisie had missed doctor's appointments because he couldn't afford them. That she deserved a more stable environment with her mother. Ryan's counterclaim was simple. He had been Maisie's primary caregiver since birth. He loved her and met all her needs, despite financial challenges. And Jennifer had voluntarily abandoned her parental responsibilities when court convened. Emma watched Ryan enter the courtroom. He wore an ill-fitting suit that had clearly been borrowed, his hair neatly combed, his expression nervous. He was with a court-appointed attorney since he couldn't afford private counsel. Jennifer Carter was polished and put together, with an expensive lawyer who immediately went on the offensive, painting Ryan as a struggling handyman who couldn't provide the stability a child needed. Emma listened impassively, her judicial mask firmly in place, even as her heart ached watching Ryan's face as his ex-wife's attorney attacked his character, and his parenting. Then came the testimonies. Jennifer spoke eloquently about wanting to be part of Maisie's life, about regretting her absence, about being able to provide a better home now that she was financially secure. When asked why she left initially, Jennifer hesitated. I was young and overwhelmed. Being a mother was harder than I expected. I needed to find myself. And in the 2 years since you left, how often have you seen your daughter? I haven't been able to visit because of the distance, but I call when I can. How often is that? Maybe once a month, sometimes less, but I think about her constantly. Ryan's testimony was less polished, but more powerful. He spoke about Maisie's routines, her favorite foods, her fear of thunder, her love of bedtime stories. He spoke about doing whatever work he could find to keep a roof over their heads, about choosing between fixing his truck and buying Maisie new shoes, and always choosing Maisie. Mr. Carter, Jennifer's attorney, said during cross-examination, "Isn't it true that you've been late on rent 3 times in the past year?" "Yes, and that you've borrowed money from friends to pay bills. Yes, and that Maisie has missed dental appointments. I missed one appointment because I had to work. I rescheduled it. Mr. Carter, wouldn't Maisie be better off in a stable home with consistent income and resources? Ryan looked at the attorney, then at his ex-wife, then directly at Emma. Your Honor, I know I'm not rich. I know our apartment is small and my truck breaks down, and sometimes I have to choose which bills to pay first. But Maisie knows she's loved every single day. She knows I'll always be there for her. She knows that when she's scared or sad or happy or excited, I'm the person she can count on. I've been there for every nightmare, every skinned knee, every first. Can my ex-wife say the same? Emma maintained her neutral expression, but inside she was struggling. She had seen Ryan's character on that highway. She had seen how Maisie looked at him, the trust and love evident in every interaction. She had also seen his willingness to help a stranger without expecting anything in return, the same selflessness he showed in parenting his daughter, despite difficult circumstances. But she also had to consider the law. Custody decisions were supposed to be based on the best interests of the child, and financial stability was a legitimate factor. During the lunch recess, Emma sat in her chambers, staring at the case file. She knew what she wanted to do, but she needed to be sure it was what the law required her to do. When court reconvened, she called for character witnesses. Ryan's landlord testified that while rent was sometimes late, Ryan always paid and always communicated. Maisie's preschool teacher testified that she was a happy, well-adjusted child who clearly adored her father. A neighbor testified to seeing Ryan at the playground with Maisie every evening, to his involvement in her life, to the obvious bond between them. Jennifer's witnesses spoke to her financial stability and her expressed desire to be more involved in Maisie's life. Finally, it was time for Emma's decision. She looked at both parents, took a deep breath, and began. I have listened carefully to all the testimony in this case. Both parents clearly care about Maisie, though they've demonstrated that care very differently. Ms. Carter, you speak about wanting to be involved in your daughter's life, but actions speak louder than words. In 2 years, you've made minimal effort to maintain a relationship with your child. You cite distance as a barrier, but you chose to move across the country knowing it would limit your contact with your daughter. Mr. Carter, you're not wealthy. Your financial situation is precarious, but you've been present for your daughter every day of her life. You've prioritized her needs over your own. You've built a relationship based on consistency, love, and sacrifice. This court recognizes that financial stability is important, but it's not the most important factor. Research consistently shows that children thrive not based on material resources, but based on secure attachments, consistent caregiving, and emotional support. Maisie has that with her father. Emma paused, choosing her next words carefully. Yesterday, I had an interaction that's relevant to this case. My car broke down on a rural highway. A man stopped to help me. He fixed my car, refused payment, and was kind to a stranger without knowing anything about her or expecting anything in return. He did this while caring for his 4-year-old daughter, who watched her father model generosity and competence. That man was Mr. Carter, and I'm sharing this not to prejudice this case, but because it demonstrated something important. Character. Mr. Carter's instinct, when encountering someone in need, was to help. His daughter has learned that same value. That tells me more about his parenting than any testimony about late rent payments ever could. I'm awarding primary custody to Mr. Carter, with Miss Carter receiving generous visitation rights. However, Miss Carter, if you genuinely want to be part of your daughter's life, you need to demonstrate commitment through action. I'm ordering supervised visitation to begin with, which can expand to unsupervised as you establish consistency. I'm also ordering both parents to attend co-parenting counseling. Mr. Carter, I'm also ordering you to meet with a financial counselor through the court services. Not because you're doing anything wrong, but because everyone can benefit from support in managing limited resources. Emma brought down the gavel, Court adjourned. Ryan sat frozen for a moment, then broke down crying. His attorney put a hand on his shoulder while Jennifer's lawyer immediately began discussing appeals. After the courtroom cleared, Emma sat alone in her chambers, emotionally exhausted. There was a knock on her door. "Come in." Ryan entered, still in his borrowed suit, his eyes red, but his expression filled with gratitude. "Your Honor, I needed to tell you something. Last night, I realized who you were. I saw your picture in the courthouse hallway and recognized you. I almost called to request a different judge because I was afraid you'd think I'd fix your car to influence your decision, okay? Why didn't you? Because I didn't fix your car for any reason except that you needed help. I couldn't let you think I'm the kind of person who would use a kind act as manipulation. But I also couldn't say nothing. So I'm telling you, now I didn't know who you were yesterday, and even if I had, I would have helped anyway. That's what I'm teaching Maisie. That we help people because it's right, not because of what we can get from it." Emma felt tears prick her eyes. "Mr. Carter, that's exactly why I made the decision I did. Not because you helped me, but because helping people is clearly who you are. Maisie is lucky to have you as her father. Thank you for seeing us, for really seeing us." After Ryan left, Emma sat at her desk and wrote a detailed memo explaining her decision, documenting every legal precedent, every factor she'd considered. If Jennifer appealed, Emma wanted the record to be crystal clear that her decision was based on law and evidence, not on a chance encounter on a highway, but in her heart. She knew that highway encounter had mattered, not because it prejudiced her, but because it had revealed character in a way courtroom testimony never could. It had shown her a man who helped others without expectation of reward, who raised his daughter to value kindness over advantage, who chose generosity despite having little to give. That was the kind of parent Maisie deserved to grow up with. 6 months later, Emma was presiding over a different case when a clerk handed her a note. "This was delivered for you." It was a child's drawing showing 3 stick figures, large one, small one with pigtails, and a medium one in a black robe. Above them, in careful child writing helped by an adult, it read, "Thank you for keeping our family together. Love, Maisie and Daddy." Emma put the drawing in her desk drawer, a reminder that justice wasn't always about applying rules mechanically. Sometimes it was about seeing people clearly, understanding what children truly needed, and having the courage to make decisions based on the full picture rather than just the documentation. The single dad who fixed her car for free had taught her something that day. That character revealed itself in small moments, in how we treat strangers when no one is watching, in what we model for our children about how to move through the world. And that lesson had helped her make the right decision, not just the legal one, but the right one for a little girl who deserved a parent who would always stop to help someone in need, who would always choose kindness, who would always put her first no matter what it cost. Sometimes the people we encounter in our most vulnerable moments teach us exactly what we need to know. And sometimes a simple act of roadside assistance becomes the foundation for a decision that changes lives. If this story reminded you that character reveals itself in how we treat strangers, and that small acts of kindness can have profound ripple effects, please take a moment to like this video. Share it with someone who believes in helping others without expecting anything in return. And subscribe to our channel for more stories about integrity, compassion, and the courage to do what's right. Leave a comment below about a time when someone's character in a small moment informed a bigger decision, or when helping a stranger led to unexpected consequences. Your stories remind us all that we're always being observed, not by authorities or judges, but by life itself, and that who we are when no one important is watching is who we really are.